In this video, I'm going to review the Unofficial Disney Parks Cookbook by Ashley Croft, and I'm going to cook this insanely delicious chili that is found in the cookbook.
Hi, welcome to DittDott. My name's Amanda. If you're new here, so glad to have you. I am reviewing this book, the Unofficial Disney Parks Cookbook. It is written by Ashley Croft, and the reason why we're doing this book is because in a little less than a month, my family is going to be at Disney World. I'm so excited. And to get prepped and even more excited for the trip, I figured bringing a little bit of Disney into the kitchen would be a fun way to kind of build up some more. I mean, how do you need more excitement for the trip to Disney? But you get my drift, right? So I actually have been on hold. I got this from the library. I've been on hold for this book for a very long time. So I was very excited to get it in and to see what it was all about. So let me show you some of the things that I'm already liking about this book. So her table of contents are divided up by the parks. So if you have a favorite treat in one of the parks, you can find them by like looking up, Magic Kingdom. And then these are the recipes that she has listed for Magic Kingdom. Today I'm going to be cooking a recipe from Disney's California Adventure Park. We're going to Disney World, but when I was looking through this book for a dinner idea, I found this chili that sounded really good. I live in the Pacific Northwest. You can still see I am in a sweater. It was pouring down rain. It's in the 50s. It's still chilly here in May. So chili sounded good for the menu. So another thing that she has in this book is all the different tools that you might need to be successful at creating these recipes. Like she really suggests buying some mouse ear cookie cutters for the different sandwiches and things like that are in the book. But she does have some suggestions that if you don't buy these cookie cutters, how to be successful in making them. She actually does have some pressure cooker recipes, and she goes over just basic tools that most kitchens are going to have, most of these things. Another cool feature that she has for each of the parks is a map of the park at the beginning, and then she shows where you'd be able to find the meal or the dish in the park. So I think that's kind of cool. So my thing about like a really good cookbook is if it has good pictures of the food. So that's where I would go down a little bit in rating on this cookbook. There are some photos of the food, like these churros, but most of the recipes don't actually come with photos. But, like here's some raspberry Mickey ears for these raspberry rose Mickey macaroons. I don't know who is familiar with the gray stuff, gâteau. I would love to know what that looks like before I would try to make it, but that's in the book. That's something I guess you can have to just look up on the internet if you want to know what the gray stuff is. I don't know what that one is. And of course, the famous Dole Whip is in the book with a photo. So, like I said, today we are going to be doing a dish from the ride or the area called Grizzly Peak in Disney California Adventure Park. And we're going to do this really simple campfire chili. And anybody who knows me and follows this channel knows that I never cook with a recipe. Just can't do it. I think it's like I can't. So why am I reviewing a cookbook, you say? Well, I love cookbooks. I love them for inspiration. But I think that it's very important as a home cook to be able to adapt any recipe that you have to your family's needs. And this chili calls for 3 cans of beans and plus a pound of beef, and that's just gonna make, and 2 cans of tomatoes, that's just gonna make way more chili than I want for a weeknight meal. Really excited about it. It's similar to the one that I already have up on my channel, which I will link above, but this one has some different seasonings, so I'm interested to give it a try. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so she says to start off with a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I usually sub in avocado oil anytime a recipe calls for vegetable oil, just because that's what I prefer to cook with. So I'm gonna put down about a tablespoon. And then I've already diced up 1 large onion. So I got that here, and I will go ahead and get that going into our pot. And as you see, I'm not using a giant pot because I am kind of downsizing the recipe from how it was written. And in a dish like this, whether or not you use fresh garlic or a squeezed garlic product like this, isn't really going to make that much difference. So for convenience sake, I'm going to put in a couple glugs of my squeezed garlic. We're going to give this time to get the onions to a translucent color, and then we will add the beef next. But while this is cooking, I've been to Disney World twice and Disneyland 1 time. I went to Disneyland when I was 15 years old with my mom and my sister, and that was my first big Disney experience. I've also been on a Disney cruise, which out of all of them, y'all are gonna be surprised, but the Disney cruise is my favorite Disney experience by far. Absolutely love the cruise. Want to go back on a Disney cruise one of these days. That is on my bucket list. But my husband and I went to Disney World for our honeymoon almost 20 years ago. So that's pretty crazy. And then, gosh, maybe 7 years ago, my father-in-law bought tickets for an entire family, all my brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and all my nieces and nephews, and of course, my family. And we had this big, huge family celebration at Disney World for their 45th anniversary. And then we were going to go and do it again for their 50th anniversary in 2020. Well, you know what all happened? The world shut down. And so we were able to delay our park tickets, but we're finally going to go on that 2020 trip this summer. So we're all looking forward to it. We haven't even seen our Texas family since, pre-COVID days. So very, very excited to see family. And oh my gosh, my nephew's gonna be like taller than me, and it's gonna be fun. All right, I'm gonna give this a few minutes to cook and then be right back. Okay, so the onions are starting to get a nice translucent color, so I am gonna go ahead and add in the beef. So I really like using these tubes. They are just really convenient, and when they're on sale, they freeze really well. I will always buy them. So I'm going to just cut it open and add it in, and we'll get it broken up. I am using a very, very lean beef, and that way I won't have to drain the beef. So I'm going to get this going and get it started to turn brown. I'll be right back. Okay, so now that my meat is mostly browned, we're going to go ahead and add a can of black beans. It said juice and all. I may have to use, oh no, I got it all. And a can of, it said diced tomatoes, but I'm going to use stewed tomatoes. Again, here's me messing everything up. So the stewed tomatoes have a little bit bigger pieces, so I'm going to use my spoon to kind of continue working it down and breaking up some of that tomato. The recipe calls for 3 cans of black beans and 2 cans of diced tomatoes, but I just did not want that much chili. This is more than enough for what we need tonight. So now I'm going to let that simmer and add in seasonings. And some of the seasonings they have for this recipe are very unique. So I'm very interested to see how it tastes. I am not going to reduce the amount of seasonings because I think honestly it's going to be fine. So 1 tablespoon of oregano and a tablespoon of basil, which I've never put in chili. So a tablespoon of basil and 2 tablespoons of cumin. If any of them, I might reduce this one a little bit because cumin is pretty strong. So I might just do 1.5 tablespoons of cumin. And then the other ingredient that's really interesting for chili is curry. So I'm just using a generic curry powder, and we're going to use a tablespoon of it. Oh, it smells so good. I love curry. And then some salt and pepper. Ding. All right, we're going to let this, I'm going to put it down on low, and we're going to let it simmer for you know, probably 15 or so minutes. Let me see what the recipe says. Oh, it says to let it simmer for an hour. We ain't got that kind of time. We'll let it simmer. Oh my gosh, guys. See, this is why I don't follow recipes. I just do my own thing. We're going to let it simmer for 15 or 20 minutes. It'll be fine. I do need to work on breaking up these tomatoes. This brand of tomatoes has bigger chunks than the brand that I'm used to using. The stewed tomatoes that on the brand that I usually use has much smaller pieces. I wasn't expecting that. They were sold out, so we went with Kroger. You might notice my Mickey ears. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like, and then we'll let it simmer. I can smell that curry though. This is gonna be definitely an interesting tasting chili, so I'm very curious to see how it works. So we'll be back in a little bit. Oh, I almost forgot, there's also supposed to be a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. So glad that I pulled it out. And I was trying to clean up a little bit. I'm like, oh, I forgot to add this. So the ironic thing about it is my daughter Maddie is making me a cake for Mother's Day tomorrow. And I reminded her, I'm like, make sure you read through the entire recipe before you start, because I know with baking, it's so much less forgiving than cooking, but I am like the absolute worst at that. So anyway, I'm a kinesthetic learner and an intuitive cook. So we'll let this simmer down. It smells amazing, and we'll be back. Okay, it has been simmering for about 15 minutes. It's thickened up. It smells so good. I cannot wait to give this a taste. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay guys, I'm just gonna taste it straight out of the pot. One thing I need to make sure if I wanna adjust my salt or anything like that. So, okay, it's super, super hot, so. Okay, I kid you not, I think this is my new favorite chili. Oh my gosh, why have I never added curry to chili before? This is so good. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm just thinking, because normally with chili, I would add like cream cheese, or not cream cheese. I would add sour cream, or, you know, maybe some cheddar cheese or green onions. What other toppings do you like to add to yours? But with the curry, I don't know that cheese would actually go. It almost doesn't need anything. It's like perfect as is. This is so good. I'm gonna give this a resounding 2 thumbs up. I am not exaggerating, guys. I would not lead you astray. This is really good chili. And also, bonus points, look how clean my kitchen is. There was like no mess. This was like the easiest recipe ever. I think this is going to have to be my go-to recommendation for chili now from now on. This is amazing. Oh, the one last thing I did want to add about the book. Oh my gosh, super important. So like I was telling you, I picked this recipe because it was like a chili. It was a good meal. A lot of the recipes in here, I mean, you're on vacation, right? They're like more treat type. There's a lot of desserts in here, or a lot of things like, let me find the one. This one. This looks freaking delicious. Baked macaroni cheese with pulled pork. Great summer dish. But again, it's a little bit more high calorie, but when you're on vacation. So I would recommend this book if you're throwing a children's party, or if you're looking to have any kind of party where you want some special kind of fun foods. But if you're looking for a cookbook to cook family dinners from, this is not the cookbook for that, but this is a cookbook for fun, interesting, you know, special occasion meals. So I'm really excited. I want to flip through this some more. I would like to try out some of these desserts, but it's just getting me really excited for my trip. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure that you hit that like button for me. It helps me out with the algorithm. If you're new here, I would love for you to check out some of my other videos and hit subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.